Good morning, everyone who is in person and everyone who is attending the Board of Public Works meeting via Zoom. It is 10:03 on February 1st. We're going to get started here in the next 5 minutes or so. I see all of our bureau reps on the Zoom line, and I see our attendance in person. So I am just finalizing some issues, and then we will get started once we have the commissioners in the room and we call roll and establish quorum. Is there a bureau rep who can confirm that they can hear me via Zoom? Hold on, I see Brett talking, but I do not hear him. Hi, Brett. Can you say something? I'm not hearing your audio. Let me see. Hold on one second. Keep talking, Brett. I'm not picking up your audio. Not picking you up. Sorry. I'm still not picking you up. I have what I think is my settings correct. So give me just a second. I'm texting one of my colleagues. Sorry. What if I mute my audio? Does that make a difference? Can you give me a test? No, it's not that. So you can hear me, I just can't hear you. Good morning. Did someone say good morning on the Zoom meeting? No, that was in the room. Sorry. Okay. Opening the other co-host mic.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, yeah.
When it's not actually coming through.
Is it coming on your computer? Is your volume turned down?
But that was not making a difference. If there's one of the attendees or one of the bureau reps on Zoom, if you would please unmute and just start talking to test the audio equipment. We're going to start momentarily, but we are experiencing some audio issues. Hi, Julie. Would you mind just saying hello, good morning? Yeah, we're not picking you up, and I'm... Please unmute and just start talking to test the audio equipment. Start momentarily, but we are experiencing some audio issues. Hi, Julie. Would you mind just...
Yeah, continue talking. Hello. Hello. Good morning. Hello.
But that's a serious delay. So I apologize. I'm attempting to unmute the laptop mic, but
Hello. Hello.
and I am able to hear you. Okay. Keep talking, and I think,
Hello.
but
Hello.
that's not
1,
broadcasting
2,
in the room.
3. Test.
Test.
1, 2,
I
3.
apologize. I'm attempting to unmute the laptop mic. That cannot be the solution because there's a delay in the. So thank you, Julia, for testing our audio.
You're welcome.
In the room.
Test.
Test.
1, 2, 3. Let me know if you need me to keep speaking at this time. There seems to be quite a
Yes, we can
delay.
hear you. That be the
Okay.
solution. Because there's a delay in the. So thank you, Julia, for testing our audio.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Let me know if you need me to keep speaking at this time. There seems to be quite a
Yes, we can
delay.
hear you. Oh, give me just one second. I apologize for the delay. So we have a caller ending in 807. If you would please unmute yourself. Caller in 807. I see that you're likely talking, but we're not picking you up.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Keep talking. I heard something faint. Please.
Fernando, doing an audio test. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Okay, thank you, Fernando. I can hear you when I unmute the laptop volume control, but it's causing a slight delay and echoing. So I don't think that that's the correct solution, but it could be a workaround.
Definitely a workaround, but not the solution. Correct.
Okay, thank you so much, Fernando. So we do have a workaround, I believe, and that is unmuting the laptop volume. But it does cause a slight delay, echoing. Very good. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for bearing with me. Yes, that was what Fernando did. He called the ILA number. Yeah. 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 Or if they are on Zoom, then we could attempt the same thing where I would unmute just for their public comment. It would cause a little bit of a noise, and then when you mute them back once it's done. Okay, got it. Cool. Okay, and we are recording already, President Garcia.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting for the Board of Public Works for Wednesday, February 1st, 2023. TJ?
Good morning, Madam President Garcia, TJ Knight, Assistant Executive Officer, taking role in establishing quorum. President Garcia, Vice President Villegas, Commissioner Corson, and Commissioner Reyes are present, and we do have a quorum. We are also joined this morning by City Attorney Representative Mr. Ted Jordan. Again, I am Assistant Executive Officer TJ Knight. President Garcia, we have no speaker cards under public comment and no neighborhood council commentary and no commentary on any of our items.
Okay. Thank you for that, TJ. Given that we do not have any general public comment is now officially closed. Moving on to the first approval of first business of today's business, moving on to today's first item of business, which is the approval of the minutes for Wednesday, January 18, 2023. Is there a second to my motion to move this item forward and forthwith?
Second.
Thank you, Vice President Villegas. TJ, there's a first by me and a second by Vice President Villegas to move the approval of the minutes.
Very good, Madam President, and we'll take a roll call vote. Madam President, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice President Villegas?
Aye.
Commissioner Corson?
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes?
Aye.
The item passes unanimously and forthwith.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and I'm happy to see you all here in person. Can you guys hear us? Okay, good. Just making sure. All right. Well, we had just a little bit of technology issues this morning, but we're on our way now to a relatively short agenda, which is good to see. We start with the first item of today's business, which is the Bureau of Engineering in Council District 14. This is item number 1, street closures for the 7th Street Streetscape Improvement Projects, recommending the board to, 1, authorize the extension of the temporary full closure of 7th Street from Maple Avenue to Los Angeles Street from February 3rd, 2023 through March 10th, 2023 for the construction of the 7th Street Streetscape Improvement Project. And this morning, we have Mr. Wong here. Good morning, sir. Welcome.
Hi, good morning, commissioners and bureau representatives. My name is George Huang. I'm from the Bureau of Engineering, and I'm also joined by Winnie Lam, who's also the project manager of the 7th Street Streetscape project. And today, the item before the board today is to request for an extension for the street full closure along Maple and Los Angeles. The board had adopted this. This is the third street closure that was granted by the board back on November 18th, 2022. And this helps to facilitate the construction of the activities that are happening within this project. So with that, I want to pass it off to the project manager, Winnie Lam, here to give a little bit more detail about the project and the extension.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Lam. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Winnie Lam with the Bureau of Engineering Street Improvement Division. To provide you with some background, this is a $12 million multimodal transportation project. It will add pedestrian and bicyclist safety improvements on 7th Street. The first phase of the project is from Figueroa Street to San Pedro Street. The scope of the work includes 13 blocks of protected bike lanes with concrete curbs, 13 bus islands, 65 pedestrian lights, and 46 new trees. Construction started at San Pedro Street on April 21st, 2022, and continues westward. The anticipated end of construction is the winter of 2023, this winter. We're currently in road closure 3, Maple Avenue to Los Angeles Street. It was scheduled to start on November 24, 2022, but the actual start date was December 28, 23. And the expiration of this road closure is February 3rd, this Friday. Unfortunately, the contractor, LA Engineering, had a late start. Their time in road closure 2 to transition to 3 was pushed back by 1 month with LA Department of Transportation extra reviews and meetings to implement traffic control countermeasures to ensure that the road closure transition would happen smoothly and safely. This additional month of document review, field coordination addresses and conforms to all applicable traffic control standards and specifications. An additional 35-day extension to the street closure is required in order to allow LA Engineering to complete the contract work. The road closure is supported by Council Office 14. The Council Office would like the contractor to work effectively without demobilizing, and we do the setup every day. We have received concurrence from the local fire station. As for outreach, we have done 4 outreach efforts. The last one was yesterday to notify the businesses of this extension request. Once this board report is approved, BOE will update the BOE project website. A e-blast will be sent out to provide an update. This concludes my report. I'm happy to answer questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lam, for your report. Any questions, colleagues? Vice President Villegas?
I don't have.
Great. So nice to hear that this entire project will be done this winter?
Correct. Anticipated.
Exciting. And just to wrap this up, are the businesses you were kind of impacting, or have they been notified that we'll be closing the street and there's some kind of access for them and their customers?
Yes, we made efforts to provide at all times the driveway and the alleyway open, and we achieved that because in one block we would have 50% of the road closed so that there's always another way to enter, so either from the east or the west. So in this closure, it's half of the block at a time.
Okay, that sounds fair. Thank you very much for accommodating our businesses. Want to make sure that they stay in business too. Thank you for that. All right, colleagues, if I don't see any questions, comments, or concerns, or any objections, hearing none, is there a motion on the table to move item number 1 forward and forthwith?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Corson. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. TJ, there's a first by Commissioner Corson and a second by Commissioner Reyes to move item number 1 forward and forthwith.
Very good, Madam President. So we'll take a roll call vote, starting with you,
Aye.
Vice President Villegas, and Commissioner Corson.
Aye.
Thank you. And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
All ayes. The item is approved and unanimously, and we'll move that forthwith.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Lam, and thank you, Mr. Wong, for that. Look forward to this winter. Have a good rest of the week. Moving on to item number 2, this is in Council District 4. This is a construction order, JILK Heavy Construction, Inc., Emergency Pre-Qualified On-Call Geotechnical Structural Construction Services List, Mount Washington Bulkheads Project. Recommending the board to, 1, approve a construction order for the Mount Washington Bulkheads Project to JILK Heavy Construction, Inc., in the amount of $1,153,646.50, with a not-to-exceed limit of $1,384,375, including contingency. And 2, authorize the president or 2 members of the board to execute the construction order after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney. And this morning, we have Mr. Smith here. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you, President Garcia. Good morning, Vice President Villegas, Commissioners, Mr. Jordan, Mr. TJ. This is for the award, this board report's for the award of the Mount Washington Bulkhead. It's a project we want to award to a project on our contractor, we want to award the project to a contractor on the emergency pre-qualified on-call geotechnical structural construction services list. This is work order number E1908959 and contract number 133006. There's an urgent need to construct 3 new bulkheads in the city's Mount Washington area to restore lateral support to the roadways due to the deterioration of existing retaining structures at these locations. Near 680 Quail Drive, the street is laterally supported by on the downslope side by an approximately 5 to 6 foot tall and 32 foot long Portland cement concrete retaining wall. The existing retaining wall is leaning and is distressed with several vertical cracks up to 2 inches in width. The new bulkhead will consist of steel beams with precast concrete panels and a concrete grade beam. Will be approximately 6 feet tall and about 32 feet long. Near 730 Mount Washington Drive, an existing timber bulkhead is leaning and has caused the adjacent sidewalk and street to settle nearly 5 inches. The new bulkhead at this location will replace the existing distressed timber bulkhead and will be 64 feet long, 6 to 9 feet tall, and consist of 9 soldier piles with precast concrete lagging panels. Across the street from 4075 San Rafael Avenue, an existing timber bulkhead that provides lateral support to the street was observed to be in distress and leaning approximately 45 degrees from the vertical. In addition, the pavement in the area in front of the bulkhead has cracks up to 2 inches in width and has settled several inches. The new San Rafael Avenue bulkhead will be about approximately 100 linear feet long, 6 to 10 feet tall, and consist of 13 soldier piles with precast concrete lagging panels. In addition to construction of the bulkheads, the project will also include construction of new asphalt pavement, asphalt berms, and the installation of new metal beam guardrails at each of the 3 locations. Furthermore, a new sidewalk and handrail will be constructed at the 730 Mount Washington Drive location. On November 22nd, 2022, the project was solicited for bids to the contractors on the emergency pre-qualified list in accordance with the executed contracts. On December 21st, 2022, 2 bids were received at the board, of which Jilk was the low bidder. Jilk's bid in the amount of $1,153,646.50 was 5.08% above the city engineer's estimate of $1,097,900. Staff recommends that the board execute a construction for the project with Jilk in the amount of $1,153,646.50 with a not-to-exceed limit of $1,384,375, including contingency. Funding for the project in this amount is available in the 3 SB1 Road Maintenance and Rehabilitation Fund accounts listed in the board report. That concludes this report, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Smith, for that report. Any questions, colleagues? I see Commissioner Reyes.
Just for clarification, the issues with the retaining wall currently in those specific areas, are we doing anything to mitigate that for the meantime? Or is there work that's being done?
There's no work being done currently other than some barricades and tape, yellow caution tape.
And how soon will this this emergency work start?
With the board approval today, we will issue, we'll work with the board office to get the construction order issued and then the NTP issued. Hopefully that can happen relatively quickly, and then the actual construction would probably start about 6 weeks later. There's a little bit of lead time primarily to get the steel beams ordered, and the precast concrete panels need to be cast, and they need a 28-day cure time. So the actual construction would probably start, depending on how quickly, the construction order and NTP are signed, probably 6 weeks after the NTP is issued.
And in terms of hazards to the public, what are we doing to prevent?
We just have the barricades and the caution tape up, keeping the public away from these areas.
And there are warning signs and signage?
I don't believe there's any signage or warning signs.
Is that typical?
Yes, we generally don't go up and put, like semi-permanent signs up to warn the public of any distress or issues. It's typically just the installation of the plastic barricades and yellow caution tape.
I would suggest and recommend a better way to mitigate that, especially because it's in a public setting. It's a right of way, so consider that.
We'll definitely consider that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. I think I kind of have the same sentiment as Commissioner Reyes. Is there something that we can do more expedited, in an expedited effort?
As far as the repair?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some of these have been developing over multiple years. A lot of times when we get the request to go out and look at these, we'll do a formal report. And every year in the fall, each year we submit all of our project list to the CO and city management for funding. And then it's, and sometimes we actually go out in the field with them. They want to go out and look at some of the sites. But ultimately, depending on what's funded in each fiscal year, that's when we really start working on the project. So some of them are more, some of them are more expedited than others. For example, on, Mulholland Drive, the road's closed at 2 locations from the recent storms in January, and we already issued 2 emergency repair projects out there, and one's going to be completed hopefully by this weekend. So we'll be able to hopefully open up a portion of Mulholland Drive this weekend. And the other one was just awarded last week. So some of them can move really quickly if it's considered an emergency, but a lot of these, we have a backlog of typically on the order at any given time, 40 to 50 projects, which we submit that whole list to the CO and the CLA team that reviews the projects as part of our oversight committee and part of the budget process, and then it's just a matter of which ones get funded. I don't have the information in front of me, but like the majority of these locations, I would say all 3 of them have been existing problems for many years.
And you don't feel there's any type of danger or hazardous for the community that lives nearby?
There's no, with the barricades and the yellow caution tape, I feel it's pretty well secured.
Okay, even after that storm, like January storm and just the rain we had just, I think, a couple of days ago?
Yeah, we haven't, since the storms, we've had staff go out and look at over 40 reports of damage throughout the city. I am not aware of any new reports at these locations.
Okay, I'm glad you said that you had staff go out and basically go
Yes.
and research and investigate how these bulkheads have been keeping up now, or the makeshift that we have at this point.
Yes, I will have staff go by and take a look at these 2 locations. I'll have our project manager drive by them this week and take a
Okay.
look at them, see how they're performing.
Thank you. By the way, Mr. Smith, I want to tell you, thank you for your work during the storm. I know you were out there and you were doing a lot of work during the weekend time because it was Saturday and Sunday. And by the way, the emergency department did recognize your efforts. And so I want to also recognize publicly that you were one of the lead engineers out there during the storm time and making
Thank
sure
you.
that Mulholland and the rest of the city was safe. Thank you.
Appreciate that. I got to give, credit. Our staff did an amazing job. Like I said, they've looked at 40 sites. We're a small staff of only 25 people, and we've looked at 40 sites. We've already, like I said, we got 5 emergency projects. We've already met with Office of Emergency Services and FEMA. We're going to get reimbursed for hopefully 5 of them. So we got a great team, so thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you for working on weekends and during that heavy time, and all the crews that were out there with you as well, and also street services, because you guys worked in conjunction. So thank you for all that, leading that effort.
Thank you, President Garcia. I really appreciate that. And we did work very well with Street Service, and I think they did a great job in response to the storm.
Yeah, I heard that too. Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
All right, Mr. Smith, well, thank you for bringing this to today's agenda. Are there any questions, any other questions, any comments, concerns, or objections? Hearing none, I think we all want this to go fast, forward, and quickly, just so that we prevent any other situations happening out in the city. Is there a motion on the table to move item number 2 forward and forthwith?
So moved.
Thank you, Vice President Villegas. Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. TJ, there's a first by VP Villegas and a second by Commissioner Reyes to move item number 2 forward and forthwith.
Very good, thank you, Madam President. Well, we'll take a roll call vote, starting with you.
Aye.
And Vice President Villegas?
Aye.
Commissioner Corson?
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes?
Aye.
All ayes, the item passes unanimously and will be approved forthwith.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr.
Yeah,
Smith.
thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
You too. Have a good week, sir. All right, colleagues, moving on to item number 3. This is a request in Council District 10 for a contract award and construction budget. Steve Bubalo, Construction Company, Inc., on-call emergency sewer and storm drain repairs contract list. Emergency sewer repair, Arlington Avenue, 1300 block project. Recommending the board to, 1, authorize a construction budget of $3,100,000, including contingency, for the emergency sewer repair Arlington Avenue 1300 block project. 2, authorize the city engineer to award this project to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, Steve Bubalo Construction Company, Inc., in compliance with established procedures of the on-call emergency sewer and storm drain repairs contract. And 2, authorize the city engineer to issue construction orders and to revise the construction orders up to the authorized construction budget for this project to Steve Bubalo. And this morning, we have Mr. Guerrero this morning. Good morning, sir. Good to see you again, too.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good to see you guys again. I'm here to request the board to approve the construction budget and award emergency repair for the Arlington Avenue 1300 block project to Steve Bubalo Construction. Authorize a construction budget of $3,100,000, including contingency, and to authorize the city engineer to issue construction orders and revise construction orders up to the authorized construction budget. LE Sanitation issued an emergency expedite request on February 19, 2021, to investigate sewer surcharge in the upstream maintenance hole of ID 517-06151 and the downstream ID of 517-06152. An assessment confirmed that an immediate risk of a sanitary sewer overflow did not exist at the time, since the sewer surcharge was contained within the 24-foot deep upstream maintenance hole and the 50-foot deep downstream maintenance hole of the existing 10-inch vitrified clay pipe sewer. The sewer line was not properly conveying the flow to the adjacent downstream reach, which is a 24-inch clay pipe reach. It was then determined that a design to reconfigure the sewer was needed to improve this conveyance and remove this surcharge existing in the maintenance holes. Per Bureau of Engineering's on-call emergency bidding procedures, a request for bid proposals was issued to the top 5 contractors on April 14, 2022. Bids were received on April 29, 2022, with Steve Bubalo Construction, the lowest bid, at $2,787,455, with a contingency of $312,545 for a total requested construction budget of $3,100,000. It was also discovered at the pre-construction meeting that on July 19, 2022, that there was also an unmarked gas line that had to be relocated in order to install one of these new maintenance holes, and that work was done by the gas company on September 28, 2022. The project is located on Arlington Avenue between Pico Boulevard and 15th Street, as is shown in Figure 1 on the board report. And looking at this figure, the green colored lines that you see there indicate sewer lines that are being either constructed or removed and replaced with new 18-inch clay pipe. The red line you see in the figure indicates an existing 12-inch clay pipe that is being removed in this project, and the yellow line indicates a 10-inch line that is being abandoned in place. The green circles in the figure indicate the new maintenance holes that are to be constructed under this project, with the designated manhole of ID 517-06152 being the one that was surcharging. And what in essence was happening in this maintenance hole was that the supply of water being carried in the pipe is greater than what the capacity of the pipe can handle to carry this flow. So the surface water would rise inside the maintenance hole above the top level of the pipe. In this situation, the sewer depth was so deep that we were able to bid and design this project since the depth allowed for no spill to happen on the street surface. So it was all contained within the maintenance hole. With this project, though, we believe that the surcharge will be eliminated. So in accordance with Bureau of Engineering's on-call emergency contract bidding procedures, the BOE staff recommends the board to declare Steve Bubalo the first low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder, and authorize the city engineer to issue construction orders and revise construction orders to Steve Bubalo for this project. And this concludes my presentation, and I can answer any questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Guerrero, for your presentation. Any questions, colleagues? Seeing none. Christian, are these sewers part of that very old structure that has been in that area for a very long time?
I'm not sure. I know these sewers have been there for a long time. They're older sewers.
Yeah, very.
I believe this 10-inch line that is surcharging was an added line, I think, due to flows in the area increasing. At one point, it might have been sufficient to carry the flow, but as evidence has shown, it no longer is. I mean, the areas develop, flows increase. So the thing about this project was we had to design and realign the network of sewers within this area to make the flows work with the new type of flows we're getting, and be able to have the capacity to convey all these flows, which is why it required a redesign. And like I said, the fact that it wasn't a threat to spill on the street bought us time to be able to design this. Instead of going as an emergency project and trying to figure it out in the field, we're able to design it and come up with a solution. So.
Got it. Thank you for that additional explanation. Thank you for the map, for your rendering that you have here. It's very informative, and thank you for going over it. I see that we're going to build 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 manholes on that area?
That's correct.
Okay, got it. Okay, I don't have any other questions. I just wanted to know if this was part of that revitalization that we're trying to do down with the sewers in that area.
Oh, I don't think it's part of that, but this came more as an emergency type request.
Okay, so there's two different efforts. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't see any other questions, comments, or concerns. Any objections, colleagues? Hearing none. Is there a motion to move item number 3 forward and forthwith?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you, Commissioner Corson. TJ, there's a first by Commissioner Reyes and a second by Commissioner Corson to move item number 3 forward and forthwith.
Very good, Madam President. We'll take a roll call vote, starting with you.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
Commissioner Corson.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
All ayes. The item passes unanimously and will be approved forthwith.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Board. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good rest of the week, sir. All right, colleagues, moving on to item number 4. This is an administrative item in Council District 6. The mayor has approved and authorized the Board of Public Works on behalf of the Bureau of Sanitation to execute the memorandum of agreement between the Bureau of Sanitation and the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power for the second phase of the Los Angeles Groundwater Replenishment Project. Is there a motion? Is there a second to my motion to move item number 4 forward and forthwith?
Second.
Thank you, VP Villegas. TJ, there's a first by me and a second by Vice President Villegas to move item number 4 forward and forthwith.
Very good. Madam President, we'll take a roll call vote, starting with you.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
Commissioner Corson.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
All ayes. The item is approved and will be moved forthwith.
Yes, please. Thank you. I think we're all looking forward to this. All right, moving on to our last item on today's agenda. This is an oral report by the Bureau of Engineering on Construction Services Contract Cisco update. And this morning we have Mr. Kopp here. Good morning, sir. Welcome.
Good morning. David Kopp, Bureau of Engineering, Environmental Engineering Division. I'm here to give you the Cisco quarterly report. Quick background on the construction services contract, which we call Cisco for short. The Environmental Engineering Division does have 3 contract vehicles in which we can deliver capital improvement projects all the way through construction. Of course, we have the conventional bid and award process for our much bigger projects that go through the standard 6 to 9 month bid and award process. We also have our emergency on-call contract, which we've been before your board recently to award contracts and do work on as requested by our client, primarily LA Sanitation and Environment. And then we have the construction services contractor, Cisco, which, if meeting a number of criteria such as cost, complexity, magnitude and degree of urgency. Typically, these are smaller projects, smaller magnitude that would otherwise not require a lengthy bid and award process, or if it's a project that's not an immediate emergency but needs to be delivered rather shortly, we can use this contract. And so currently we have 3 active contracts. We have Cisco 10, Cisco 11, and Cisco 12. They are all awarded in succession with an appropriate level of overlap, so we always have an active contract at any given time. And so as I'll run through the summary reports for each contract, you'll see that as I go along, some of these are about to wrap up in the next quarters as we report before your board on status. The current awarded contractor is Murray Company. They have been awarded the past 3 active Cisco contracts via competitive bid and award process. Starting with Cisco 10, we are nearing the final months of this contract. We should be finished by the end of this fiscal year or sooner. We have roughly $307,000 left to wrap up 2 remaining projects at the Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant and at the Terminal Island Water Reclamation Plant as well. The participation numbers are excellent. However, historically has been a bit difficult to bring on board disabled veteran business enterprise, but given the scope of work that's available to us, we set up these projects on an as-needed basis, and we work with this contractor directly to negotiate a lump sum price. And we do work with them with every single project to identify opportunities for participation. So I think in general, the participation numbers for Cisco 10 have been excellent. They've been more than doubled for MBE and WBE participation, for example. But DVBE historically for Cisco has been a challenge to attain, although we have been able to reach 0.3%. And in later years, those goals have changed. They've gone down from 1%, and then for Cisco 12, it's now at 3%. So we are doing everything possible to maintain excellent participation numbers overall. Cisco 11, this one has been active since 2019, and based on the expenditure on these projects, we started Cisco 12 a lot sooner than we thought, as indicated in the quarterly reports. So we have 7 total active projects right now in Cisco 11, and most of the funds have been encumbered, and we have roughly $320,000 left of budget to be used on future projects. So the trend is with Cisco 11, as with Cisco 10, these ones will likely reach the end of their contract lifetime in the next year or so, which leaves us with Cisco 12. And we have plenty of active projects already approved by your board. As indicated in the report, we're about nearing the 1-year mark of this contract. These are typically active for 3 years, and we do have the ability to extend them further so that we can utilize all the approved funds with the contractor, and then they would in turn extend their bonds accordingly so they can remain active with these contracts. And so we're nearing the 20% mark for the elapsed time that we anticipate for the contract, and we have a little more than half of the remaining budget allowed. So within one of the 3 anticipated years, we're already past the halfway mark with the budget, or we're nearing that point. And so the Environmental Engineering Division will make sure to go before your board sooner than later to make sure there's no gap between Cisco 12 and future Cisco 13 contract. With 1 year in, we are across the board below our anticipated utilization for business inclusion. But as I mentioned, as we bring on new projects as requested by our client agency, LA Sanitation and Environment, we always identify opportunities to hire subcontractors and other technical service companies to help us bring those numbers up, as we've been successful in doing in the past. And that concludes the quarterly report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Carl, for your report and for the printouts that we have here. Seems like the DVBE is always kind of, it fluctuates, right, throughout the times? Yeah.
Yeah, and we haven't in the past requested to reduce this number. We want to remain aggressive with it and try to reach that number.
I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. All right, any questions, Vice President Villegas?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your report. Appreciate it. I just want to make sure that I'm understanding this process. So I just have a couple of questions. The mechanism of Cisco is different from our as-needed
Correct.
on-call list.
Correct. So if
Okay.
if we have the, for lack of a better word, the luxury of time to negotiate a lump sum price, as Christian mentioned previously in his, through their contract, they can negotiate a lump sum if they have the time and it doesn't put, the infrastructure in question at risk. And so in the case of Cisco, if there is time to, to go through a design process that could be as simple as a 6-month duration, for example, but enough for us to quantify and negotiate a lump sum price with the Cisco contractor. It's the most cost-effective and best value way to deliver these typically small-scale projects. So, for example, if you look at a lot of these projects, they're in the 150,000 range or lower, which would make the standard bid and award process for, say, a $10 million job, not to say overkill, but we could find a way to use a current onboard contractor to negotiate a project of that size and still do it equitably.
Okay, thank you for that. But while the projects may be small, we're still giving Cisco 10, 11, and 12 to the Murray Company. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so it's Cisco 10 is for, it looks like it's 16.8 million. Cisco 11 is also to the Murray Company, and it's for about 14.6 million. And then Cisco 12, which is still current, it looks like it's also to the Murray Company for 8.2 million. I just want to make sure that I'm understanding this.
Correct. The 8.2 is the amount that has been authorized to date,
Okay.
either within the board's authority or the city engineers.
Okay, and then Murray Company is also, thank you for pointing out the MBE, WBE, and SBE, but they're still eligible to exhaust up to the budgeted amount.
Correct. Correct.
And then they're also on our additional on-call list, correct?
Correct.
Okay, just wanting to make reference so that the other commissioners also understand where our money is going.
Of course, and I would think it's worth mentioning too that the Cisco contract is not a pre-qualification based contract as opposed to, say, the emergency on-call contracts where we could have 8 contractors on board. Cisco has 1 contractor, but they are selected through a competitive process. It's a bit unique because with the Cisco contract, we don't know exactly what the scope of work will be. So we have these companies, prospective bidders, bid on based on the contract ceiling that would go before your board for approval. So in the case of Cisco 12, it is 15 million. They would bid on a worksheet the same as the other contractors, where they would, to the effect, put in all of their overhead prices, which would be deducted from that 15 million, for example, in which you would get what's called a direct residual value. And whichever bidder has the highest direct residual value, the city considers to be the best value for this contract. And in these 3 cases for these 3 contracts, that's how Murray was selected.
Thank you. I appreciate just the additional context.
Sure.
And just, I'm just raising this because we're always going to be going for possibly a company that has been around for a long time, that's completely familiar with this. And while they do work with small companies, to get their threshold approved and, through the city's requirements, I just still think that a company that's trying to make it into this stature it's very difficult for them to get there.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Villegas. Good point on that as well. Thank you. Any other questions, Commissioner Corson?
Thank you. Thank you for the report. No surprise, I agree with Vice President Villegas on her questioning, but I have a follow-up a little bit to this. Would it be possible to get a similar report that breaks down how we're, I really like this report, but I want a similar report for the on-call list as well. That kind of breaks down who is getting the awards and how much over the quarter. I mentioned this, I think, a couple meetings ago that we approve them, but we don't personally keep a tally of, if XYZ company is getting 6 of the on-call awards in a quarter or in a year. So it would be good to get a similar report, unless we already do and I've missed it and I apologize, but if we don't, it would be good to see if we can get a report like that as well for all the on-call lists.
Certainly. And to my limited knowledge, to that question, there is a list of construction orders for the Clean Water Infrastructure Program within the Bureau of Engineering, where there is a report that does go before the board regarding construction orders issued as part of the program's various emergency on-call contracts. But what you were asking for is who specifically is awarded these projects and the construction orders. So we can follow up to provide that information.
Yeah, it doesn't have to list like exactly what it was for, if that's too cumbersome, but essentially, all of the awards, just a total amount in the quarter that a participant on the list received. And it would also be good for me personally, because I want to see the ones who are getting zero. As I've said before, if someone is not participating on the on-call list or taking up space, that we can open up for somebody else. So it'd be good just to see that as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Commissioner Corson. Commissioner Reyes?
Just piggybacking on VP Villegas's comments, my question is, in terms of decision-making, when we scope out the next phase, who makes those decisions? Is there a committee? Is there a group within your team that scopes it out? And how detailed, what is the process that?
In terms of which contract vehicle we would select for a given project?
Yes.
So there's a number of things that we would decide typically at the very onset of a project is how quickly the response is needed for our client. If it's something that needs to have an immediate response, say a true emergency, we would use our emergency on-call contract. If it's a very small scale project where we have some time to provide a design and the urgency is not the same as, say, an emergency project, we may use the construction services contract. Otherwise, if we have a large scale complex project and we want the most competitive price possible, we would use what we call our standard bid and award model to deliver that, which would take longer, but appropriate to a large project. You would expect, a design phase that could take as long as a year, and followed by, the bid and award process, which can be anywhere from 6 to 9 months.
Does the composition of that decision-making team change over the years, or is that a dedicated team? Just to give it more context, is that I just want to ensure that there is diversity of opinion and decision-making, and really looking at it from a more comprehensive viewpoint when it comes to scoping out next phases.
Sure. To that extent, the Bureau of Engineering and LA Sanitation Environment meet monthly in the Program Review Committee when it comes to budget approvals, project approvals, and that is when the contract delivery vehicle is presented before the committee. And that is typically where the decision of the contract vehicle is formalized. And that committee is comprised of both Bureau of Engineering and LA Sanitation Environment executives, and that agenda as well is endorsed by the Director of LA Sanitation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes, for that. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? I think what we're looking for, and Commissioner, this is to Commissioner Corson's request, and maybe our BOE rep can help us with this, is we're looking for like the overall Bureau of Engineering, all your on-call lists, emergency lists, and Cisco, just in an aggregate report. It doesn't have to be thorough or very cumbersome, but just we want to see all your list, all your emergency, and basically all your pre-qualified lists, just in a one sheet, because to Commissioner Corson's point, we approve these by slices, but we never are able to see one big picture of where all the funding's going to. So if that's possible, and I say the BOE rep because not just your division, but just the entire department.
Okay.
And we'll probably make that same request for sanitation as well.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Kopp. Thank you for getting that as well.
Vega, representing Bureau of Engineering.
Oh.
I'll be happy to follow up.
Julia? Hi, Julia. That I
I
heard her.
apologize, just give me 1 second to use the work, to enable the workaround. Go ahead, Julia.
Oh, thank you, noted. I'll be happy to pursue that.
Thank you,
Representative
Julia, I
Bowie.
appreciate that. All right, well, I think you're good now, Mr. Cobb, and if there's any other questions or objections? Hearing none, thank you for your report, appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Have a good rest of the day. All right, colleagues, that seems to be the end of today's agenda items. TJ, have we cleared today's desk?
Yes, we have, Madam President.
Great. Any other items? None? Given that it is 11 o'clock on Wednesday, February 1st, our meeting is officially adjourned. Please take note that Friday's meeting starts at 1 p.m., not 10 a.m. this Friday, just for this Friday. All right, everyone, have a good rest of the day. Thank you.